Part 1. Cracks in Perfection. Anna had the life most women would envy. A beautiful home in the heart of the city, a loving husband who brought her flowers every Friday, and a 5-year-old daughter who thought the world revolved around her mother's laughter. From the outside, it was perfect. A glossy Instagram feed of vacations in Greece, romantic candlelit dinners, and candid family moments. But Anna knew better. She woke up one morning and noticed the bed was cold. Not empty, just cold. Max, her husband, had slept there, but not with her. They used to fall asleep in each other's arms. Now he turned away even in his dreams. Anna sat up and looked at the clock.
6:48 Uhr morgens.
Max always left the house at 7 o'clock, even though work didn't start until 9. Early meetings, he said. Lately, there were a lot of those. He hadn't kissed her goodbye in weeks. She got up, wrapped herself in a silk robe, and walked quietly into the kitchen. Max was there, dressed immaculately in a navy suit, sipping coffee and scrolling through his phone. He didn't notice her until she coughed softly. "Morning," he said without looking up. "Morning," she replied. "Big day." He nodded, still staring at his screen. Conference call with Milan, then lunch with a client. "I'll probably be home late." "Of course," she said, masking the tightness in her chest. Max finally looked up and smiled, but his eyes didn't follow. They were elsewhere, distant. She remembered a time when he couldn't stop looking at her, when every glance felt like a touch. Now it was as if she were part of the furniture. Later that day, Anna found herself staring at a photo on her phone. It was from last summer. Max had surprised her with a weekend trip to Rome. In the picture, he was holding her close, whispering something that made her laugh. Her eyes sparkled. His smile looked real, but something had changed since then. At 3:42 p.m., she received a message from her best friend, Lisa. "Lisa, he's acting weird again?" Anna, "Like a stranger." "Lisa, you think it's someone else?" The thought had been a shadow in her mind for weeks, but seeing it written out like that, blunt and real, made her hands shake. "Anna, I don't know, but I'm going to find out." That night, Max came home at 11:18 p.m. She was awake, pretending to sleep. She smelled perfume on his shirt. Not hers. Something floral and too sweet, like cheap jasmine. He didn't bother showering. Just changed and slipped into bed beside her without a word. Anna lay still, her heart pounding. The next morning, while Max was in the shower, his phone buzzed. Once, twice, then again. Curiosity gnawed at her like a mouse behind the wall. She didn't want to be the kind of wife who checked her husband's phone. But she also didn't want to be the kind of wife who lived in denial. She picked it up. A name she didn't recognize. Sasha G. Message preview. "Last night was perfect. I can still feel you." Her fingers trembled. She opened the message. There were more. Dozens. Some were explicit. Others were filled with longing, plans, private jokes. The phone slipped from her hand onto the marble counter with a dull thud. The shower stopped. Anna moved quickly, returning the phone to the exact spot, wiping the screen clean of fingerprints. By the time Max emerged from the bathroom, she was seated at the kitchen table, sipping tea, smiling faintly. He leaned down and kissed her head. "You look tired." "I just didn't sleep well," she lied. He left without another word. The door closed, and that's when Anna's smile dropped. She sat in silence for a long time. Then she picked up her phone and began typing. "To Lisa, I was right. Her name is Sasha. He says she makes him feel alive." She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't break anything. Instead, she began planning. Because if Max thought she was the type of woman who would fall apart, he was about to learn just how wrong he was. Part 2. The first betrayal. Anna had always believed that betrayal came like a storm. Sudden, loud, impossible to ignore. But Max's betrayal had come like a slow, silent leak. Not a crash of thunder, but a quiet erosion. A soft rotting of trust. And now that she knew, she couldn't unknow. The next few days passed in strange stillness. Max continued his charade, Early mornings, late nights, business trips, tired smiles. Anna, however, had become someone else. She no longer asked where he was going or when he'd be home. She watched, listened, memorized. She studied him like a man on trial. And Max had always been predictable. He kept his routines tight and his secrets tighter. But Sasha, she was a weak point. Sasha texted him with a kind of reckless confidence, like she believed she had already won. And that's exactly what made her sloppy. Anna created a fake account and followed Sasha on Instagram. Her page was private, but Sasha wasn't careful. Her profile photo was revealing. A mirror selfie in a hotel bathroom, half-dressed, hair tousled. It was taken at the Bel Air Hotel, the one Max always claimed was too old-fashioned for business meetings. Anna stared at the photo. In the reflection of the bathroom mirror, she could faintly make out a man's jacket on the bed behind her. It was Max's, navy blue, custom-tailored. She had picked it out herself. The rage that flared in her chest surprised her. Not because it was there, but because of how cold it felt. Icy, controlled. Pure. She wasn't going to leave. Not yet. She was going to watch him burn first. That Friday, Max told her he had to fly to Warsaw for 2 nights. A new investor wants a face-to-face. It's sudden, but important, he explained while checking himself in the mirror. Anna nodded. Of course. Be safe. He kissed her cheek and left. She waited 3 hours. Then she packed a small bag, put on a black coat, and took a cab. Not to the airport. Not to Warsaw. To the Bel Air Hotel. Anna had bribed the front desk clerk 2 days earlier. He checks in under him. Kralov, she had said, sliding $100 bill across the counter. Tonight, that small investment paid off. Room 612. 6th floor.
Corner suite.
Ocean view. Anna stood in the hallway for nearly 10 minutes before she knocked. Her hands didn't shake. Her breath didn't hitch. She knocked again. Finally, the door opened, and there she was, Sasha. Younger, slimmer, eyes wide with confusion. A silk robe clung loosely to her frame. Yes, Sasha asked, tilting her head. Can I help you? Anna smiled. I'm looking for my husband. The color drained from Sasha's face. Behind her, Max appeared. Shirtless, confused, then horrified. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Anna looked him in the eye.
Relax, Max.
I'm not here to fight. Anna, he started, but she raised her hand. I just wanted to meet the woman who thinks she's winning. Sasha stepped back instinctively, unsure whether to speak or flee. Anna's gaze was calm, but cutting. You'll find out soon enough what it means to betray a woman who gave everything. Max's face twisted. What do you want from me? I already took it, she said. You just don't know it yet. And with that, she turned and walked away, leaving behind stunned silence. Anna didn't go home right away. She drove to Lisa's apartment instead. Her best friend opened the door in her pajamas and immediately pulled Anna into a hug. You did it, Lisa whispered. Anna nodded. He looked like a ghost. You okay? No, she admitted. But I will be. That night, the old Anna, the loyal wife, the hopeful partner, the woman who waited up at night, died quietly. And from her ashes, something new emerged. She was done reacting. Now she would act. She would be precise, patient, strategic. Max had chosen to lie. She would choose to destroy, piece by piece, with a smile. Part 3, no rules now. Max tried to return to normal. The morning after the hotel encounter, he came home with tulips, Anna's favorite flowers, as if they could erase betrayal. He told her he'd made a huge mistake, that Sasha meant nothing, that he was confused, that he loved Anna, that he always had. Anna accepted the flowers with a small smile. She didn't mention Sasha. She didn't cry, scream, or demand explanations. That terrified him more than any fight ever could. Max thought he'd narrowly escaped disaster. He had no idea. Anna spent the next few weeks in the shadows of his world, unspooling the threads he thought were hidden. While he kissed her cheek and scrolled through his phone during dinner, She was unlocking everything behind the scenes. Bank accounts, business emails, private texts. It was easier than she expected. Max, for all his charm, had always underestimated her. He never noticed the tiny black USB she plugged into his laptop late one night, copying months of documents. Or that she'd hired a private investigator to follow Sasha. Or that she'd begun visiting his company's investors. Not as his wife, but as an anonymous tip about creative accounting practices. She wasn't just watching him now. She was dismantling him. Max's company, Kralov Development, was built on a series of polished lies. Underreported. Income, offshore accounts, shady real estate flips. Nothing overtly illegal, just unethical enough to ruin him if it ever got out. Anna made sure it would. She sent anonymous packages to journalists, competitors, even the financial regulator. Carefully timed, each one planted a new seed of doubt. Within a month, quiet whispers started circulating around Max's name. He didn't know where it came from. He became paranoid, distracted, his smile frayed, his temper shortened. He started drinking more, coming home later, sleeping less. Anna played the concerned wife perfectly. "Maybe you need to take a break," she'd suggest sweetly. "You've been under so much stress. Is there anything I can do?" Max would look at her, eyes bloodshot, heart pounding, and feel ashamed, guilty. He didn't realize that the calm, comforting woman beside him was tightening the noose. Then came the business dinner. It was hosted at a rooftop restaurant, where Max was meant to close a deal with a key investor. Anna dressed immaculately and joined him, smiling like the proud wife she no longer was. As they sat at the candlelit table, Anna leaned in and whispered, "You know, I met Sasha again last week." Max froze mid-sip. "She works at a yoga studio now," Anna said casually. "Told me she hasn't heard from you. Is that true?" He swallowed hard. "Anna." She smiled and placed her hand on his. "Relax. I'm not angry. I just think it's important to be honest. Don't you?" The investor across the table blinked, awkwardly glancing away. Max excused himself 2 minutes later, his hands shaking. Anna sat back, satisfied. It wasn't about Sasha. It never was. It was about making Max feel what she felt for months. Uncertain, humiliated, and powerless. Back at home, she began phase 2. Divorce wasn't her endgame. Not yet. She transferred assets secretly, legally. A lawyer friend helped her move key funds and freeze joint accounts under a quiet legal clause Max had signed without reading years ago. She met with his company's biggest competitor under a different name, a shell identity, and gave them everything they needed to undermine Max's next project. And most importantly, she made copies of everything: emails, receipts, photos. She kept them in a folder on a drive labeled Truth. Then, late one night, she stood at the mirror, brushing her hair. Max walked into the room, smelling of cologne and wine. "I miss us," he said, stepping behind her. She met his eyes in the mirror. "Do you?" "I know I messed up," he whispered, "but I want to fix it." Anna turned around slowly. "Then you better start trying harder." She kissed him softly, deeply, and he thought, maybe everything really will be okay. He couldn't see the file sitting in her purse, labeled with his name and his downfall. Anna knew this wasn't over. Not yet, but the war had begun, and there were no rules now. Part 4, The Reveal. The invitation looked innocent enough. Elegant cream paper, gold lettering, a tasteful font. Celebrating 10 years of love, Max and Anna Kralov invite you to an intimate anniversary dinner. A night of laughter, love, and cherished memories. Max didn't ask questions when Anna suggested it. He seemed grateful, relieved. He believed her silence meant forgiveness, that this dinner would be a fresh start, a new chapter. He didn't know it would be the last page of his old life. Anna prepared everything down to the smallest detail. The guest list included close friends, business partners, and Max's parents. People he couldn't lie to, not when the truth stared them in the face. The venue was their home, elegant, understated. Anna hired a private chef, beautiful table settings, soft music, wine that flowed just fast enough. Everyone showed up smiling, toasting to love, to success, to the perfect couple. Anna played the part well, radiant, grateful, loving. Until dessert. The room dimmed. A hush fell. Anna stood up, tapping her glass gently. "Before we cut the cake," she said, her voice clear and calm, "I want to thank all of you. 10 years is a long time and we've been through so much. I've always believed honesty is the foundation of any good marriage." She smiled at Max, who raised his glass, unsure. "That's why tonight I wanted to share something personal. A little slideshow I put together, just for us."
Max smile froze.
The screen behind them flickered to life. At first, it was sweet. Photos of their wedding, their daughter's first birthday, vacations. Then, the tone shifted. A grainy photo of Max and Sasha entering a hotel. Another, Max kissing her neck at a cafe. A screenshot of a message. "I wish I could wake up next to you instead of her." More screenshots. More photos. Bank transfers. Audio clips. Phone recordings. The hotel receipt. Gasps filled the room. Max stood up. "Anna, stop this." But she kept going. Emails to offshore banks. Bribes to city officials. Fabricated reports tied to his construction firm. A final image. A document titled for immediate release, addressed to local media and the federal tax office. Anna turned to him, her expression unreadable. "You didn't just betray me, Max. You betrayed your daughter, your business, your name." His face drained of color. "Anna, please, we can talk about this." "We've been talking for years, Max," she said quietly. "You just weren't listening." The room was dead silent. People stared at their plates, at the floor, at the door. Max's parents sat frozen. His business partner slowly removed his napkin and stood up without a word. Someone whispered, "Jesus Christ." And then, Anna took a deep breath and raised her glass. To the truth. She drank. Max didn't. Within 24 hours, the fallout began. 3 investors pulled out. A reporter called Max's office at 7 a.m. with questions about the documents she'd seen. Sasha, panicking, deleted all her social media and moved out of her apartment. Anna filed for divorce the same morning. She requested full custody. The house, a controlling share of the company, citing marital fraud. She had the evidence to back every word. Max tried to call her dozens of times. She never answered. When he showed up at her office uninvited, security escorted him out. For the first time in his adult life, Max Kralov was completely powerless. He didn't lose everything overnight. It was faster than that. The internet exploded. Articles, speculation, blogs, gossip forums. The story of the perfect couple turned scandal spread like wildfire. Anna became an unexpected symbol. Quiet, calculated, ruthless in her justice. She didn't speak to the media. Not once. She didn't need to. The facts spoke louder than words. One night, weeks later, Anna sat alone on her balcony, wine in hand, the city lights buzzing in the distance. Lisa joined her, offering a quiet smile. "You okay?" she asked. Anna nodded. "I think so." "You burned him to the ground." "No," Anna said. "He did that himself. I just lit the match." They sat in silence for a while. Finally, Lisa asked, "Do you regret it?" Anna thought about it. About the years of lies, the pain, the way he made her feel small, invisible, like love was something to be rationed. "No," she said. "I regret staying silent for so long." Part 5. After the fire. 6 months later, the house was no longer hers. Anna had sold it to a young couple who looked at the marble floors and floor-to-ceiling windows with the same awe she once had. She handed over the keys with a smile, never mentioning the ghosts that lingered in the corners. She didn't need the space anymore, or the memories. Now, she lived in a sunlit apartment downtown, above her new architecture studio. Clean lines, wooden floors, no trace of Max's heavy taste. Everything was hers, designed, chosen, paid for by her own hands. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like a supporting character in her own life. Max, meanwhile, had vanished from the public eye. After the anniversary debacle, his business imploded. The media shredded his reputation, and while he avoided jail time, thanks to high-priced lawyers, he lost nearly everything else. The investors sued. The partners walked. The brand was toxic. Sasha, of course, disappeared. She left the country 2 weeks after the scandal, taking with her whatever promises Max had made and whatever illusion of love she'd believed in. Anna had heard, through a mutual friend, that Max was living in a rental outside the city, alone, struggling to rebuild. She didn't feel sorry for him. She felt nothing at all. Her daughter, Mila, adapted faster than Anna expected. Children are like that, resilient and intuitive. She never asked why Daddy stopped coming around. She just hugged her mother tighter at night, asked more questions, and smiled more freely. Anna didn't speak badly about Max. She didn't need to. Mila would grow up and form her own conclusions. Anna's job was to raise her with strength, clarity, and dignity, the things Max had discarded like receipts. One crisp morning in early spring, Anna sat at a cafe, watching the street bustle with life. Her laptop buzzed with emails, a waiting list of new clients who wanted her touch, her aesthetic, her clarity. The irony wasn't lost on her. The woman who once designed someone else's dream was now helping others build theirs. A voice interrupted her thoughts. Anna, she looked up. It was Daniel, an old acquaintance from college. He was older now, grayer around the temples, but his eyes were warm, honest. They talked for over an hour. About nothing. About everything. He didn't ask about Max. He asked about her. That evening, when she returned home, she caught herself smiling without realizing it. Anna never planned revenge. Not at first. But once the veil was lifted, once she saw how deep the betrayal ran, she couldn't stay quiet. Silence was what let him grow bold. Silence was what made her invisible. So she stopped being silent. And the world changed with her. She stood one evening on the rooftop of her apartment, watching the lights flicker across the skyline. The city had kept moving, indifferent to heartbreak, to scandals, to headlines. And somehow, so had she. Lisa once told her that the hardest part of starting over wasn't leaving someone else. It was finding yourself. Anna had found her in the silence, in the ashes, in the cold moments after the world fell apart. She was not the woman who waited by the door anymore, not the wife who looked the other way, not the fool who begged to be loved correctly. She was something stronger. She was the storm, the end.